You're like a golden retriever, so loyal and dumb, she laughed. So I handed her the ring and walked out. Now she's cold, alone, and begging for a place to stay. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. This is a story from a throwaway account. I've been a lurker for a long time, but I need to get this off my chest. I'm a 29M, and until 6 months ago, I was engaged to a woman named Emily. We'd been together for 5 years. Everyone called us the perfect couple. We were high school sweethearts who made it through college and found our way into stable, normal lives. We had our routine: pizza and a movie on Fridays, a walk through the park on Sundays, and dinner with her parents on the last Tuesday of every month. It was simple, predictable, and to me, it was perfect. We had our future mapped out. I worked a solid 9-to-5 engineering job, and I'd been socking away every spare dollar for a down payment on a house, a little bungalow just outside the city. I was just shy of the number I needed and was about to tell her I was ready to pull the trigger. She worked in marketing, and for the longest time, she shared my vision. She would send me links to little houses with good-sized backyards, talking about the dog we'd get and the garden we'd plant. The future was our favorite topic, a warm and cozy place we built together in conversation. Then, things changed. It started subtly, like a hairline crack you don't notice until the wall is about to fall. She got a new job at a trendy startup downtown, and suddenly, my simple life wasn't enough. She started talking about vision, passion, and ambition like I was a stranger. My practical plans were suddenly boring. My consistent work ethic was predictable. She spent all her free time with her new co-workers, especially one guy named Mark. He was the kind of person who seemed to exist purely on social media. A self-proclaimed creative who was always posting blurry photos of him and a group of friends doing spontaneous things at weird hours of the night. The shift was infuriating. I'd come home excited to tell her about a project I nailed at work, and she'd just scroll through her phone and grunt. One night, I was showing her a picture of a house I'd found online. It was everything we had ever wanted. A 2-bedroom, 1 bath with a big oak tree in the front yard. I was so proud, so ready. I was about to tell her I had enough money that we could go look at it this weekend. She glanced at the screen for a moment, her eyes flat and uninterested, then went back to her phone. You know, she said without looking up, her thumb still tapping. Mark just got a grant for his photo series. He's going to spend a month in Iceland. She sighed, a deep, performative exhale. Must be nice to actually have a passion. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. I just looked at her, at the stranger who was talking about some guy's artistic grant while I was showing her the dream we had built together, the physical manifestation of all my hard work. I didn't respond, just closed my laptop and went to bed. I couldn't have known at the time, but the dream of our future was already gone. I was about to find out just how cold she could be and how much she actually looked down on me. That quiet coldness from Emily wasn't a phase. It was the new normal. The golden retriever comment was just a sneak peek. The real blow-up happened a week later. We were sitting on the sofa, watching some mindless TV show, and the silence was suffocating. I couldn't take it anymore. I muted the TV and finally looked at her. Emily, what's going on? I asked, my voice softer than I'd intended. You've been so distant. Is something wrong? She didn't look at me at first. She just stared at the muted screen, her jaw tight. Nothing's wrong, Dan, she said, her voice flat. Everything's actually going great. Great. I couldn't help but let out a small, bitter laugh. You call this great? We barely talk. You're always with Mark and your new friends. I feel like I'm a stranger in my own home. She finally turned to me, and the look in her eyes was like a switch had been flipped. The mask of indifference was gone, replaced by a cold, condescending scorn I'd never seen before. It was almost a relief to see the real feelings she'd been hiding. Because you are, she said, her voice low and sharp. A stranger. You're not who I need anymore. We're not in high school. I'm not that same girl. I want more than this. She gestured around the living room, a place we had built together, with a look of pure disgust. I want to be challenged. I want to live. You just want to come home, watch TV, and be comfortable. You're too safe, Dan. Too predictable. I deserve someone who understands my ambition, not someone who's just a constant presence. I felt the blood drain from my face. I finally had my answer, and it was a gut punch. So what are you saying? You're just done with me. She sighed and finally said it. I've been seeing Mark for a while now. He gets me. He understands that life is about more than a down payment and a 2-bedroom house. He sees the real me. My mind raced back to all the little moments of her being on her phone, the excuses she made to stay late at work, the way she would light up when he texted her. I'd been a fool. The golden retriever she'd been talking about was me. I was the loyal, predictable pet she was bored with. That's when she gave me the line that will probably haunt me for the rest of my life. She didn't just say it. She laughed as she said it, a cruel, airy sound that was meant to belittle me completely. Honestly, you're like a golden retriever. So loyal and dumb. I'm bored. In that moment, something inside me broke. It wasn't my heart. It was my will to fight for her, to beg, or to even show her a shred of emotion. I just sat there, looking at this stranger. She had no idea that I had a surprise for her, a final act of devotion that was about to become the last thing I ever did for her. I reached into the pocket of my jeans and pulled out the small velvet box I'd been carrying for a month, waiting for the perfect moment. I took out the ring, a beautiful, simple diamond I had agonized over. She stopped talking, her smile fading as she looked at the ring. The smugness on her face was replaced by a flicker of confusion, then a sort of smug victory. It was what she expected, a desperate, final play. I took the ring and, without a word, placed it on the coffee table between us. I didn't get down on one knee. I didn't plead or cry or ask her to stay. I just looked at the symbol of the future we would never have, and a wave of calm washed over me. I finally understood everything. Her disdain for my stability, her boredom with my loyalty, her contempt for my character. She saw it all as a weakness. I stood up, walked to the front door, and looked back at her. Her face was a mix of confusion and smugness. I hope you find what you're looking for, Emily, I said, my voice steady, betraying none of the chaos inside me. Then I walked out and didn't look back. My immediate reaction to walking out wasn't sadness or anger. It was a kind of hollow calm. It was the quiet you hear after a bomb goes off, a ringing in your ears that tells you something catastrophic just happened, but your body hasn't caught up yet. I drove for a while, just aiming the car away from the life I had so carefully built. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just kept driving until the streetlights gave way to the black nothingness of the highway. I went to my brother's place that night, just showing up on his doorstep at 2 a.m. He took one look at my face and didn't ask a single question. He just handed me a beer and a spare blanket, and I slept on his sofa for the next 2 weeks. I went to work every day, like a zombie. I ate what he put in front of me, worked out when he dragged me to the gym, and went to bed every night without ever checking my phone. I had ghosted Emily completely. I blocked her on my phone, her friends and family on social media, and muted every group chat we had in common. My mind was like a fortress. I knew if I let a single crack in, all the pain and confusion would flood in, and I wasn't ready to deal with it. The silence was deafening, but also, in a strange way, healing. I used the money I had saved for the down payment and made a drastic decision. I quit my job and took a position at a different company in a city 100 miles away, a place where I knew absolutely no one. I bought a small, one-bedroom apartment with a killer view of the skyline. I started cooking for myself, taking long walks at night, and reading the books I never had time for. I wasn't focused on getting revenge or proving anything to Emily. I was focused on survival. I was building a new life, a life that was just for me. The months went by, and the sting of the betrayal faded. The calm was no longer hollow. It was a genuine, unshakable peace. I'd cut so many people out of my life that I rarely heard anything about my old circle. But some things are just too good to stay quiet. The first crack in my fortress came in a text from my brother, just a few words. "Mark is a total loser, dude." Over the next few weeks, I heard the full story, pieced together from different mutual acquaintances who couldn't resist gossiping. Emily's new life with her man of action was not what she'd expected. Mark, the artsy visionary, didn't have a grant. He had a rich aunt who funded his projects. His loft apartment was a rental, and he was behind on his rent and deep in debt from trying to keep up with his own facade. The worst part, the part that felt like cosmic justice, was what he did to her. She had bragged about him getting her a job at his company. What she didn't mention was that it was an unpaid internship, and he was cheating on her with one of the paid employees. He'd also posted a drunken rant about her online, calling her a clingy charity case and a gold digger without the gold. All the friends she had dropped me for were now laughing at her behind her back. The adventurous life she wanted was just a series of emotional and financial disasters. I heard she was living back with her parents, having lost her new job after the social media humiliation went viral. She had no car, no money, and the so-called man of passion had left her with a mountain of his debt and a completely shattered reputation. The person who had once laughed and told me my life was boring and predictable was now staring at a life that had completely unraveled. She got the chaos she wanted, and it broke her. The golden retriever was long gone, and the world outside the front door, the one she'd been so eager to see, had bitten her hard. I didn't feel sorry for her, not for a second. I just felt nothing. The peace I had built was a shield against her past, and it was working perfectly. I knew it was only a matter of time before she tried to find her way back to the comfortable life she threw away. Her return attempts started exactly as I expected, a slow trickle of texts, then a desperate flood. The first one was just her number, a ghost from my past, with a single, unadorned "Hey." I didn't respond. A week later, another one. "I heard you moved. Hope you're doing well." I deleted it without a second thought. It was almost comical how predictable it was. The desperation ramped up when she realized I wasn't a backup plan she could just text her way back into. Her friends started reaching out to my friends, trying to play messenger. My best friend, Mike, called me one day, clearly annoyed. "Dude, Emily's friend just texted me. She said Emily made a huge mistake and that you guys belong together. I just told her you're happy and to leave you alone, but seriously?" I thanked him and told him not to worry about it. A few days later, my mom got a call from Emily's mom, the woman who had hugged me so many times and told me I was the son she never had. The conversation was apparently a painful mix of veiled manipulation and passive aggression. "You have to talk to him," Emily's mom had insisted. "He's so stubborn. She's a wreck. We're so worried about her." My mom, thankfully, knows me better than that. She calmly told her that my life was my own and that I was doing great, and promptly hung up. The calls and texts escalated. She started sending longer messages, full of fake apologies and selective nostalgia. "I know I messed up. I was stupid. I just miss our quiet nights in, our little rituals. I miss you." The messages became more frantic, and when she got no response, they turned bitter. "You're just going to ignore me?" After everything we had, she was showing her true colors, the entitlement that lay beneath her bored facade. She wasn't sorry. She was just mad that I wasn't there to clean up the mess she'd made. The final act of the play was not a text or a call, but a performance. A mutual friend from our old circle, Sarah, was having a birthday party. I hadn't been to any of their gatherings since the breakup, but I liked Sarah, and I was in a good place. I felt confident enough to be around my old life without being sucked back into its drama. I even brought a date with me, a witty, kind woman named Chloe. We were laughing and talking to a few people by the bar when I felt a hand on my arm. "Dan." Emily's voice was soft, trembling. She looked nothing like the woman who had laughed in my face 6 months ago. She was thinner, her eyes hollow, and she was wearing a cheap, ill-fitting dress. I glanced at her hand on my arm and then looked her in the eyes. I felt no anger, no sadness, just a profound sense of detachment. "Hey, Emily," I said, my voice as neutral as if I were talking to an old high school acquaintance. I introduced her to Chloe. "This is Chloe." Emily barely acknowledged Chloe, her eyes fixed on me. "Can we talk? Alone?" she pleaded, her voice a desperate whisper. Chloe, sensing the tension, gave me a reassuring smile and excused herself. We walked away from the crowd to a quieter corner. The desperation was radiating off her. "I know you won't believe me, but I am so sorry. I was lost. Mark, he wasn't who I thought he was. I've lost everything, Dan. My job, my apartment, my friends. He made me feel crazy, and I have nothing. I'm back with my parents, and I just keep thinking about how good things were with you. How you protected me. We could have that life again. Our life. I know it's crazy to ask, but can we try again?" She was crying now, the tears streaming down her face. It was the moment she had been building up to for months, her grand apology, her final attempt. I listened to all of it, every word, without a single emotion flickering across my face. When she finished, the silence stretched on for a moment, and then I spoke. "That's where you're wrong, Emily." My voice was calm, firm. I wasn't shouting or getting angry. I was simply stating facts. You're right that Mark wasn't who you thought he was. But the man you think you knew, the man you're begging for right now, isn't who you thought he was either. He doesn't exist anymore. He's gone. That old life, our life, was built on a lie. It was built on me being a golden retriever, as you so eloquently put it. It was built on me protecting you, forgiving you, and putting your feelings ahead of my own. That's not who I am anymore. I paused and took a breath. You said I was a man of plans, and Mark was a man of action. Well, I acted. I took all the things you called boring and built a new life, a real one, far away from all this. I don't know that person anymore, and I don't want to. I'm happy now. I'm building a life for myself, not for a woman who looks down on me. I'm not a security blanket, and I'm done being warm and cozy for someone who gets bored so easily. I turned, leaving her standing there, alone, a single tear running down her face. I walked back to the bar, back to Chloe, back to my new life. When I got back to the bar, Chloe smiled at me. I wrapped my arm around her, and in her eyes, I saw what a real, grown-up life looked like. And it wasn't the life Emily wanted. It was the life I had built without her. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.